Welcome, citizens. I'm Jay Gray, and this is The Gray Files, somewhere between black and white podcast, where we discuss conspiracy theories, deep government cover-ups, and the secrets they don't want you to know. So put on your headphones, turn down the lights. You don't want them to know you're listening. On this episode of The Gray Files with Jay Gray, we're investigating the story of D.B. Cooper. By the way, please like and subscribe. It's citizens like you that keep us searching for the truth. Let's dive in. One man, one heist, one mystery that's haunted the skies for over a half a century. A perfect crime with no body, no trace, and no answers. Welcome, citizens. I'm Jay Gray, and this is The Gray Files, and this is the story of D.B. Cooper. November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. A nation is busy traveling for the holidays. In Portland, Oregon, a man wearing a dark suit, a white shirt, and a narrow black tie approaches the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He buys a one-way ticket to Seattle for $20, using the name Dan Cooper. Nothing about him stands out, not his demeanor, not his clothes. He carries only a briefcase. Flight 305 boards without incident. Cooper takes a seat in the rear of the cabin, seat 18C. Witnesses describe him as calm, polite, even friendly. After the plane takes off, he hands a note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. Thinking it's just another businessman slipping his number, she pockets it without reading it. Cooper leans in closer and quietly says, "Miss, you'd better look at the note. I have a bomb." Inside his briefcase, wires, red cylinders, and a battery, enough to make the threat chillingly real. Cooper shows just enough to make the point, then calmly dictates his demands: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, 2 main, 2 reserve, and a fuel truck ready upon landing. The pilot relays the demands to air traffic control, and the FBI gets involved immediately. Agents advise the airline to comply. Cooper, in the meantime, sips bourbon and lights a cigarette, behaving like a man with nowhere to be and all the time in the world. After a tense few hours, Flight 305 lands in Seattle. Cooper allows all 36 passengers to disembark in exchange for the cash and parachutes. He keeps only the pilots and the flight attendant on board. The money, bundles of worn $20 bills totaling $200,000, is handed over. Cooper is methodical, even courteous. He inspects the parachutes. He gives detailed instructions: fly at low altitude, under 10,000 feet, with the landing gear down and the rear staircase extended as much as possible without triggering alarms. The flight plan? A slow crawl south toward Mexico City. Then somewhere over the thick forests of Washington state, as rain lashes the fuselage and winds whip the night sky, Cooper acts. At approximately 8:13 p.m., the crew notices a sudden shift in cabin pressure. The rear staircase has been deployed. But when they look back, Cooper is gone, vanished into the night sky, carrying a bag full of cash and wearing nothing but a business suit and a parachute strapped to his back. Immediately, the largest manhunt in U.S. history kicks into gear. FBI agents and local authorities search hundreds of square miles of rugged, forested terrain. Planes fly overhead, scanning the thick canopy. Troops comb the riverbanks and remote valleys. Not a single trace of Cooper is found. No parachute, no briefcase, and no money. Investigators believe he likely jumped near the Lewis River in southwestern Washington, an area thick with towering fir trees, rugged cliffs, and icy rivers. Survival, they argue, would have been nearly impossible in those conditions. But then, a new clue. In 1980, nearly 9 years after the hijacking, a young boy digging a fire pit along the Columbia River uncovers 3 bundles of cash buried in the sand. The bills, heavily decayed, matching the serial numbers from the ransom money. How did the money get there? Was it dropped during the jump? Or did Cooper survive, hide part of the cash, and vanish into a new life? The find raises more questions than it answers. Over the decades, dozens of suspects emerged. and were ruled out. Ex-military men, skydiving experts, fugitives, all came under scrutiny. Some even confessed, but none could be definitively tied to the crime. One popular theory suggests Cooper was a seasoned parachutist. Others say he had intimate knowledge of aviation, specifically the Boeing 727's rare rear staircase, which could be lowered in mid-flight. It's not something the average person would know. Then there's the name, Dan Cooper. It turns out Dan Cooper was the name of a Canadian comic book hero, a daring test pilot who undertook missions involving parachuting and mid-air hijinks. Was this a coded reference, a clue to his true identity? The FBI chased leads for decades, even bringing in citizen sleuths in the early 2000s. In 2016, they officially closed the case, admitting that they could not solve it with the evidence at hand. D.B. Cooper, a name the media gave him by mistake, became an American folk hero, a symbol of rebellion, of cunning, of pulling off the impossible. Songs were written, films were made, Cooper became a legend. But behind the myth lies a very real mystery. Was Cooper a desperate man with nothing to lose, a professional criminal, a secret agent, or simply someone who saw one window of opportunity and jumped? Today, no matter how many new theories surface, the truth remains hidden, scattered among the towering pines and misty rivers of the Pacific Northwest. One man, one mystery, and one silent question that echoes through history. Who was D.B. Cooper? And will we ever know? Well, citizens, once again we've come to the end of another podcast. What do you think? What really happened to D.B. Cooper? Please remember to like and subscribe so we can continue our research and bring you the information that lives somewhere between black and white. I'm Jay Gray, and thank you for listening to this episode. See you next time on The Gray Files.